Oh, it's working. We're alive. I think we're
Amazing.
live.
Yay.
Um, I'm just gonna check double. Oh, yes, we are. We are definitely live. Let me just triple check by going on my own channel. Yep. Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
Okay, so have my beautiful friend here, Diana Eskander. She's an expert love coach and founder of School of Love, and we got here together today to talk about feminine energy, how to know what it is. We're going to talk about what it is. We're going to talk about how to practically apply feminine energy into your life so that you can radiate that beautiful feminine glow and really attract like what you desire into your life. Before we start, I'm going to go ahead and say this is going to be very much of a podcast style. So if you want to just listen in, go ahead and do that. It's part of the Loving Her podcast, which is all about learning to love yourself unconditionally, coming home to your body and embracing your feminine essence. And if you find value in what we're sharing, I will ask for you to please do give us a thumbs up and consider leaving a comment, subscribing. I'll leave both of our links in the first comment below. And so without further ado, Diana, welcome. You're the first guest on the Being Her podcast.
Thank you. I'm so honored. I'm very excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, because it's like it's not just such a needed conversation, but I feel that as women, a lot of times I didn't know what feminine energy was until my 30s. I thought it was all about dressing in pink. And if I didn't dress in pink and have like flowers everywhere, I wasn't in my feminine essence. And so, like, let's just dive in. What is feminine energy? And I'll hand the mic to you because,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, if I can start with what it's not. People, one of the biggest misconceptions I hear is like feminine is nurturing, which means it's about doing for others. And this couldn't actually be further from the truth. One of the most important qualities of the feminine is actually being in her receivership. But if I can touch on this piece about nurturing, nurturing is a quality, it's not an action. Nurturing is how you feel in someone's presence. So, for example, I'm a mother of two. What I often hear people refer to the act of making lunches, for example, or making dinner or setting out snacks as the nurturing. But the nurturing is actually the feeling that my kids have when they're around me. It's this feeling of unconditional love that I have for them, the space that I have for them, the presence that I have for them that makes them want to like nuzzle up on, into my arms and curl up next to me. Just me holding them in that loving energy is nurturing. It's not about anything I'm actually doing.
Mm.
So for any of you who think, oh, being in my feminine is like giving to all the people around me and being of service to everyone around me, I want to say, hold up, wait a minute. No, it's not. It's actually so much about the energy of who you're being. And it's again like it's the quality underneath the thing. It's the feeling you have around someone. Being in your feminine is being, into relationships and cooperation more than like collaboration, I'll say more than competition. It's making decisions from your intuition. It's staying in trust and surrender. It is allowing yourself to be the receiver in your life and in your relationships. So you can almost think about it like you can take an action, and that would be more on the masculine side, but it's the feeling and the frequency underneath the action, that's the feminine. What's the quality of the action that you're taking? Does that make sense?
100%. At least to me, it makes perfect sense. And, as you're talking, like one of the things that like resonates and I really want to just highlight it is the energy that you're going to exude, like if you're going to love others, you have to first and foremost also love yourself. If you're going to give others, you have to first and foremost give yourself. You have to learn to, like, unconditional self-love, I would say, is the baseline of
Mhm.
feminine energy. And
Mhm.
when you do that, you genuinely and authentically say, okay, so what does it mean to love myself without conditions?
Mhm.
It exudes self-acceptance, like I accept where I am. And it also invites a growth from our intuition, our desires. You know, how many of us women have a hard time saying, I desire things in this life? Like I couldn't say the word like I desire or I deserve things for like a until like about 3 years ago,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And it invites a, you know, an energy of healing as well.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And the word that you used for me is it's the energy of healing. And then there's the actual action of showing up for the healing and, going to a session with your therapist or your coach or your energy healer, or doing the journaling exercises or doing the things, but it's the energy of healing. Almost think of it like feminine is the feeling, being in your body,
Mm.
the energy of things, the true motivation under the things. Masculine is more of the mind and the logic and the action. So they're perfectly married together. We can perfectly marry them together. I was sharing with you earlier, like just this morning, I was having a conversation with a client, and we explored how she actually needed to call on her masculine energy and show up for a commitment. So the action and the showing up for the commitment is very masculine, but the energy of holding trust that everything's working out for her while she shows up for the commitment and takes the action, that's bringing in the feminine, and that's how they marry together.
Totally.
It's the quality underneath, it's the feeling underneath, it's the frequency underneath.
100%. And I would add to that, a lot of times we are afraid of lacking confidence, right?
Mm,
We're like, I don't want to be on, like, I got to learn the things. I got to learn the things. I got to become a master skillful person before I can show up and do the things. And I see so many videos, especially on YouTube, that are popping up on how to be confident from the external, like masculine energy driven, do the things. And 100%, sometimes you just need to do the things.
yeah,
Confidence does come from competence. But I found that over the years, like the more I learned to trust myself
yeah,
by knowing I got my own back, I got my back. I surround myself with positive intentioned humans.
yeah,
I know that when I do a misstep, I can genuinely forgive myself.
yeah,
I'm connected with the right intentions.
yeah,
It just allows me to show up like with more grace. It also allows me to surrender easily, more easily to the things that are completely out of my control. Like
yeah,
one of the things that we see so much is trying to control everything and everyone and every outcome. That's very masculine energy driven. And sometimes, yeah, sometimes you need to do some of that control.
mhm,
But that is so like that's literally giving all of your power to the external,
yeah,
and it's unsustainable. Like
yeah,
burnout culture is real. And I think people used to be proud of it. Like, oh, I had like 5 burnouts. I'm like, you,
yeah,
there's nothing to be proud of as a culture, like to burn out and to work 12 hours a day. I did this, so I'm not judging anyone. I used to be one of those people. And it's about saying, okay, well, if I got me and I want to show up for my commitments, how do I do it in a sustainable way? How do I maintain my energy? How do I do it with a loving um fierceness? Does that make sense the way I'm saying it?
it totally does. And even as you were saying, like how I want to control how I'm perceived, or I want to control the outcome, I wouldn't even say the control is a masculine energy. I'd say it's just fear.
Mm,
It's just fear. That's whenever there's control, with you don't even have to dig into it. It underneath it is fear. And we control to try to make sure we will never encounter anything that will hurt us or bother us. But in that process, we hurt and bother ourselves a lot of the
yeah.
time by keeping ourselves in constriction. And I would say, like, you want to start to, if you're just curious about, well, how do I even get into that feminine energy, is actually practice softening your body.
Mm.
And how do you do that? Taking deep breaths, noticing where you're clenching your chest, your belly, your pelvis area, and practice. Notice how I say practice because it is a practice. Releasing them more and more. Like, can you literally expand your belly and just let it hang and relax without it feeling tight and contracted? Can you open your arms up and allow your chest to open up and just feel that expansion in your body? So the constriction is not masculine energy. The constriction is fear, but the feminine is very much getting deeper into the body
Mm.
and not in the stories, just actually feeling the sensations in your body. The deeper you go in your body, it's like the deeper you go in your feminine, the more space there is for the masculine to rise.
Mm. I love that. I love that. It's wild because I always talk about how breath work is just very life-changing. Breath work
Mhm.
is a masculine energy practice, but
Mhm.
in an essence, though, like the relationship that you build with that intentional breath, that's
Exactly.
more, I find, feminine energy because it's like, well, I'm taking the moment to connect with this body. And I also had to laugh when you're talking about holding in the stomach. Like I did ballet, like for the first 13 years of my life, like from the age of, I think, 3 to 13. And we always suck it in, suck it in, suck it in, suck it in. And the idea of being somewhere and not sucking it in, no matter how skinny you were, was
Yeah.
just like inconceivable.
Yeah.
And it's wild. Like I had a beautiful client, we were doing a hypnotherapy session and the cameras are on just like in a private session. And at some point I'm like, you look really uncomfortable. Like, what's going on? And she's like, I'm holding it all in. I'm like, why? Let it go. Like that's the like there's so much stigma of just letting like if you're watching this video, let your stomach be for a moment. Right. And like this also goes into another like practical tip we want to share with all of you is opening up your hips. Like literally doing hip circles in one direction, right? And then doing it in the other direction, doing this for 2 minutes a day, allowing yourself to stretch your hips, whether that's doing through yoga or just stretch them out however you want. And like walking, when you're walking, instead of like I'm a fast walker. I call myself like a New York style walker. Like if you're walking too slow, usually I would bulldoze you out of my way. And then it's like, well, why don't we just slow it down for a minute
Totally
and let
enjoy the walk versus getting to the destination.
and letting the hips like just try it at home. Let your hips sway side to side, moving from the kitchen to the bathroom, from the bathroom to the bedroom. Slow it down and see how that feels, right?
And I love this idea of the walk because it's almost like the masculine is very much like, okay, I have a destination and I'm getting there, and how can I do it efficiently and get there? And the feminine is like, how can I enjoy the walk along the way? It's that qualitative piece underneath the action. Yeah. I want
That's
to also just invite in like, a little piece around kind of romance and receiving the masculine. And for anybody here who's in a female body or resonates with being in a female body, just even notice your hands and how sometimes you might actually be clenching them in a really subtle way. And I want you to imagine like, I want my partner or the partner who's coming to be able to hold my hand. I want the universe to be able to hold my hand while I have to relax my hands so he can hold it. You can't hold your clenched fist. Your soft, relaxed hand is what invites the universe and invites the masculine to come and hold it and support you and walk with you. So your constriction, which I will say your constriction because we all have some form of constriction, takes you, is not the masculine. Constriction is not the masculine, it's fear, but constriction takes you from your feminine. There's a fear of relaxing. What will I miss that I need to protect myself from if I relax?
that's a big one.
It's a big one. You want to know how
I
to
just
get into
want
your
I,
feminine, learn to relax.
Yeah, I want everyone to just like take a moment, whatever you're doing, really listen to that part. If I relax, what am I going to miss?
Mhm.
This is, right now, we were also chatting right before getting on this live about how the current like popular culture is still hyper driven on production. Our
Mhm.
self-worth is very much interlinked with our net worth, right?
Mhm.
Which they're actually two very separate things. Your worthiness as a human being is
Mhm.
different than your net worth.
Mhm.
The hyper independence, like I'm thinking also like of women who are like, I don't want to let a man pay for me on a date. Like, no, no, no. Like all
Mhm.
of that, like I need to prove that I'm independent and I need to prove that I'm this and like I need to stay in full like
Mhm.
right? And it's
Mhm.
like if I were to relax,
Mhm.
would would to allow myself to literally on a day relax, right? I notice like in business, for my women who are in business, when I first started and I left my 9 to 5 to start my business, I would sit at the computer from 9 to 5. And at
Right, exactly.
one point I said, well, did I just do that? Did I just leave that to do this? Like, I don't get it. Like, no. So I started doing things that at first my mind's like, you're being lazy, like
Yeah,
taking a nap in the middle of the day,
yeah,
choosing to just relax, literally relax, do nothing in the
yeah,
middle of the day. Because I notice I have peak hours of productivity and then I'm better at relaxing after. And I noticed like I did that for a whole year. My income did not go down. It
yeah,
actually went up.
yeah,
And I thought to myself, that's interesting. What's going on there?
yeah,
Right? Because we're trained by popular culture, you have to march, you have to produce. Like at one point, I even posted on my Instagram, I was like, you got to start in some way equating relaxation with productivity, if that's what it takes for you to take it seriously, because your life is not a to-do list.
mhm,
Like think of it like anyone who feels like the moment we say relax and you will continue to receive everything that you desire in your life, you're going to notice your mind producing a lot of automatic thoughts that are going to tell you no, 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 no. And we're inviting you to just observe that, not make it right or wrong, but just observe that and witness the evidence that that doesn't need to be the truth.
exactly. Exactly. I think that is so well said. I'm curious for those listening, if you were to distill being in your feminine down to 3 words, what would you choose, Tina?
Ooh, okay. Unconditional self-love. Oh, I can't get over. Wait, if I do this, it's going to be balloons. I would say unconditional self-love, and not just for myself, but also like witnessing that interaction in others and noticing where they're at in their journey. So being a very much an observer of unconditional love.
Mhm.
Forgiveness and trust, if that makes sense. I put
Mhm.
those together
Mhm.
because to forgive is to let go,
Mhm.
and to let go is to trust.
Mhm.
And the third, and it is so much. I'm trying to pick the best
I
one.
know. I know. You already cheated there.
I did cheat there. I couldn't help it. um, I think the third one would just like it would literally just be what you said earlier, like going into the body.
Yeah.
Like it's forgetting. It's I'm going to cheat again, but like following your intuition, the intuition of your body into the unknown, right? Because you allow we were at the spa just yesterday and we were doing the cold plunge. And I was sharing with Diana that, when I went to the center where this is what they do, they were telling me your body is very intelligent and like it knows what to do. And if you trust it and you let your mind go, it will literally do what it needs to do. So I was like, okay, you just got to take a breath in, go in, lock it, and then let go and stop thinking
Mhm.
and just go into your body. And
Mhm.
why do I say the intuition piece? Like, I'm sorry, I've cheated.
Mhm.
Because your body will lead you to experiences that your mind doesn't comprehend. Like
Mhm.
I'm thinking of a video I've shared even on this channel about my experience with 5-MeO DMT, that was zero logical reasoning. And if you're curious to understand what that's all about, that's literally me following my intuition and very much in that experience, learning to trust my body because my mind, it was an F no. But
Yeah.
my body, like in the middle of the ceremony, the facilitator is like, can you trust your body?
Yeah.
And my body was like butterflies, like this is the best experience for you right now. And then it will lead to trust, it led to forgiveness, it led to love. So, okay, now
You
that
you
I cheated like
really
five
stretched
times,
your answer there, girl. You really stretched your answer.
okay, I'll hand the mic to you. What would you say?
I don't, can I say it differently? Can I change the question for myself?
Yeah.
If I can just like give like a visual almost of the difference between masculine and feminine energy. If you can imagine masculine energy being very outward focused, if you can see my hands right now, if you're watching this, like very outward focused, energy moving out, moving towards something. And then feminine energy being flowing into yourself. And even just notice those shapes, how one can insert in the other. Okay. The feminine is really flowing into yourself. And you don't have to be a man or woman to play with either of these energies. You can play with both. And from this flowing into yourself, it's like there's a natural giving that happens from your overflow, but it's not this like very directive, outcome oriented energy. It's as I pour into myself, my overflow just starts pouring out onto others, and everyone expands just by being around my overflow through self-care, through unconditionally loving yourself, spending time in your body, nurturing and loving your inner child, feeling who you are as a woman,
Connecting with you.
spending your time and energy and money in ways that energize you. And so then you're in overflow, and that just pours forth.
I love that. And I added, and we talked about this right before, connecting with your womb.
Mm.
For those of you who identify being in a woman's body, syncing your life with your cycle,
Mm.
not calling your bleed like, oh gosh, I have my period. That
Yeah.
sucks. It's
Yeah.
such a sacred moment. It's
Yeah.
such a sacred moment, you know? So we're going to wrap up the conversation for today. Diana, are there any last words of wisdom that you want to share?
Just to not only have reverence for the feminine, but to have reverence for the masculine, and the union of the two is where your most power lies.
I love that. I love that. So thank you everyone for who tuned in. I want to share with you that if you want to continue doing some of this work together, Diana and I host a beautiful program together called Men Money Manifestation. I'm gonna link I'm gonna link it below. I'm also gonna link a link. It's a lot of links to an activation session we did called "It's Time to Be That Woman." It's no longer time to be that girl. It's time to be that woman, to claim it, to own it, step into it. And it's an activation. There's a meditation, hypnosis, there's body movements, along with really powerful soul activating conversations. So we'll leave that for you below, but we'll have many more lives also coming on to this YouTube, and we hope to see you in them.
Thank you.
Bye.